So today I wanted to talk about how it is, or like what's the best way of breaking up with a narcissist, what that breakup looks like. And I feel like this is probably going to be very different for the type of narcissist that you might be with. But this is basically my experience. And this is with like a covert narcissist, because the last narcissist that I was with, you can check out the other videos I have on my page talking a bit more about our story. But I was with an overt narcissist like maybe 6 years ago. And both of the breaks have kind of, or me getting out of that relationship have been kind of like the same thing. And this is what like both like how I got out of the relationship and also like how I've been healing after that, because the recent breakup has been like a month ago, so it's still like very fresh. And I'm still like working through it, and these are also going to be some tips for that. But what I've realized is, when you're with a narcissist and someone who like manipulates you, gaslights you, takes advantage of you, maybe there's also physical part. Like in my case, there wasn't any physical thing. It was just like very like subtle, very like passive aggressive, very like you didn't really realize that you were like in an abusive or toxic relationship. In the relationship, I feel like the only way that I found to really break up with these people and then them never like bothering you again, because the thing with a narcissist is like, I had that happen with my first ex, where like he would come back every time, like a month later being like, no, I've changed, you're my soulmate, I'm gonna do everything. And then 2 months later we were fighting all the time again, and he would break up with me again, and like the discarding phase would just happen like every 3 months or something. And I realized like there was something that I needed to do for me to not go back to him, because the problem is like if you've been through narcissistic abuse, you are like there's some kind of emotional wound that you have that makes you go back to it every freaking time, and you need to find a way to kind of distance yourself, and you need to find a way for them to dump you, because if they dump you and they feel like they cannot get back to you somehow, then they're just going to leave you alone, and you're not going to go back to them. And even if you try to go back to them, they will not take you back. You know, I feel like that's the like smartest way to kind of do this or make it happen. And that's what I did in both of my relationships. It's like I kind of got them to dump me. But how did I do that? First thing is like I obviously started to go to therapy so that I could like build up my self-esteem and kind of get to a point where like I had some sense of self and security in myself so that I could do certain things. And I started to establish boundaries, because what happens like when a narcissist, if you tell them like your boundaries and you're like, I will not tolerate this, I will not tolerate that, they will sometimes either like make up an excuse for why they can't do that, or they will like say, yeah, I'm going to do that. And they will continue to kind of like force over your boundaries. That is going to make you feel bad, and that's going to make you feel angry, which is going to start and cause a lot of fights, which at some point the narcissist will be like, well, we're not happy because you are creating drama all the time, this and that, and that's why I'm breaking up with you. So this is one of the ways that you can get the narcissist to break up with you. Even if it's kind of like, I wasn't really fully aware that I was doing this, but I'm kind of aware now that I'm looking back into my relationship. And I did that mostly like in both of my relationships. Like they would both always blame me, like I was the dramatic one. I was the one always like picking fights and creating problems where we didn't need to have problems, because I had needs and I was just expressing my needs. And that apparently created a problem, which is like not normal. But in both of my relationships, I was both building up my self-esteem more and more and more. Like if you have to think, like if you get into a relationship with a narcissist, you're both in like kind of the same frequency when you start out. But if you start to build up your frequency and you start to like be better, have better friends, have a good job, have a lot of good things happen in your life, and the only bad thing is your relationship, there will be a point where this distance is going to be so big that this person will not be able, like when they see that they are not able to control you and to bring you back down and you just stay up there, they will leave, because they will be like, I have no way of controlling this person. For example, my last relationship, the latest one, when I met this person, I was just fired from my job. This was like right after, like it was 2020. It was June 2020. So like the whole like staying at home and everything thing had just recently stopped. Like in Spain, we could already like leave the street like that month, I think, or May or June, something like that. They fired me from my job. I was living in an apartment that I couldn't really pay. I started being unemployed. Felt very lost in life of what I wanted to do. I was starting out with social media. And I was also very overweight back then. Not very, but I was like maybe 15, 16 kilos overweight. I don't know how many pounds that is. I think it's 30. I'm not sure. But I was overweight. I didn't feel like super good with my body. It just felt like like post-COVID and everything was just like, bleh, you know, when I just got fired from my job, I don't know what I'm doing with my life, I feel like I'm unfulfilled with what I'm doing, blah, blah, blah. So I'm here, I meet this person here. He would be taking care of me financially, which is something that I relied on him for whenever he came to my house during the weekends. I also felt like, oh my God, this person sees my personality and he doesn't care that I'm a bit overweight because I'm not really feeling good in my body, even though I was starting to work out again and started to do certain things. And from that point on, since we started the relationship, I started to kind of like work out again. Start to be like, okay, what do I want to do with my life? I want to be a freelance, so like, let's start this. Let's work against my fears. Let's start getting all of these things. Let's start meeting people who are like better than me, who I can learn from. I started meeting YouTubers who are now my best friends, YouTubers that I followed for like years. So I started to do all of these things for myself during the relationship. And this person, the problem is like they started growing with me, and at some point they stopped. They decided they did not want to grow after that. They never told me, instead of just saying like, hey, I don't want to grow because I don't want to face my fears. And they just tried to bring me down all the time. And something that I heard, especially in the last part of like, during the breakup already with him, with my last ex, he was always like, oh, I think we were happier when you didn't have money, when you were a bit overweight, and when you did this and this. And you weren't as cocky as you're now, because now that you have social media, you've become like way too cocky for my taste, which is like, I'm not cocky, I'm confident, which is different, but okay. And something that my sister said, my sister's a therapist as well, she was like, Ada, this guy just felt like he could control you so much back then, and now he feels like he cannot control you. And I feel like that's just the key. You have to build enough things around you so that you have enough things that help you not be controlled by this person. Because the more things you have outside of this relationship, and the more this person feels out of control with you, they will just stop trying to control you, and they will stop being in a relationship with you. Because a big thing for the narcissist is for them to be able to control you. So if you have good friends that will be taking care of you and do things for you, they will leave. One of the things, for example, that I had with him is that I always asked him, like, I would like to have flowers. I've never had flowers in other relationships. And I told him like at least 50 times in 2.5 years of relationship. Do you think I ever got flowers? No. There was this one time I called one of my best friends who was in London, and I'm in Barcelona. And I told her like, I'm kind of upset because I've asked him so many times and I don't know why he has to put up so many excuses like, oh, I don't like to kill living beings. I don't like this, I don't like that. When there's like 1,000 ways to give someone flowers. You can give me a plant. It doesn't need to be like a bouquet of flowers, even though that's what I would prefer. But at least, I mean, it would be nice, like if someone tells you like, I would like flowers, that you fulfill that need in some kind of way. Even like Lego flowers, I don't fucking care. And I told that to my friend like in passing, like we were having a conversation about something completely different. And my best friend, well, she's not even my best friend, she's one of my good friends, not maybe my best friend. 2 hours later, she's like, are you going to be at home today? And I'm like, yeah, sure, why? She's like, no, maybe I want to call you later to ask you for help for something. And I was like, okay. An hour later, I get a bouquet of flowers from her. And that was one of the moments where like also like my friends around me were doing a lot of things. Like they were treating me like a princess, like how I should be treated in a relationship, which he wouldn't do. My friend bought me flowers. I broke up with my boyfriend that day for the first time because I just got so angry at him, because I was like, why can't my friend, who I told this one time, I didn't even tell her like how important it is. I just mentioned it in passing, like I would be happy. And my friend just picked up on that and she was like, she wants flowers. She's getting flowers because she's been a really good friend to me. And the fact, and when he saw that, because the thing is like, I got really upset at him that day and I was like, my friend did this for me and you cannot even do this, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, it's over. 2 days later, he didn't really understand that I meant it was fully over. He thought I was just angry, and we kind of got back together and like, well, okay, whatever. A week later, I got flowers from him because he realized like that if he wasn't doing those things and he wasn't controlling me in that way, that my friends would get me out of that relationship eventually. So that's the thing, like the narcissist will, like they will try to make you feel bad so that you are like in like the lowest level possible, so that you cannot get out of the relationship. But if you fight, I'm not saying it's easy, because it's not easy. Being gaslit all the time, manipulated, not only by him, because I was also manipulated and gaslit by his mother constantly, will make you be very weak. And you need to have like a certain strength to yourself, which I think like you probably have that. Get a therapist, get good friends outside of the relationship, get a hobby that makes you like work on your self-esteem constantly, get projects, do something with your work that feels meaningful to you, because when you have enough things outside of the relationship that will help you get out of it, it's going to be easier, and it's going to just make it very easy for this person to be like, okay, I cannot control this chick, I'm just going to break up with her because there's nothing in it for me. And the other thing for me that's very important is that the moment you get out of the relationship, this has been a very big thing for me, is that one of the things that my narcissist always forbid me from doing was talking about a relationship on social media, because as some of you know, I have a big TikTok account, I have a big Spanish YouTube account, and he would always forbid me from talking about a relationship when my whole content is lifestyle and talking about relationships and like things that I'm learning, you know, and I like to be open about everything. And during those 2 years, I could never really talk about my relationship because I was strictly forbidden to do it. The moment we broke up, I knew that I was like, well, he might try to come back, maybe he will try to do whatever. I don't think he will, but a part of me was like, I know that if I talk all of the shit that I want about him on social media, firstly, I'm going to be helping people, and that's also an important part of it. But secondly, I'm also going to be freeing myself from this person. I'm going to be doing those things that he always forbid me from doing. And I feel like in your case, it might not be that. It might not be talking about them on social media, and maybe you don't even have social media, but do things that this person forbid you from doing, even if it was something as simple as like, oh, don't travel alone because that's going to be a bad thing for you, or don't do this, or don't do that. Because I feel like the moment you start kind of like doing that, you're going to be freeing yourself from kind of like their approval or their validation or whatever it is that you were gaining from that relationship, you know? So I feel like that's something that might help, especially when you're going through the breakup, or do things that you know will make him never come back to you. For example, if he was like she was a very jealous person, and they're like, oh, if you ever like, I don't know, kiss someone else, I'm done and you're never going to be hearing from me. Go out and kiss a friend. Even if it's just a friend, like even if it's like your girlfriend, just and post it somewhere so that he can see it, and that you know that that's going to create such a big barrier that he's not going to come back, you know, because that just makes it easier for you to move on. And even if you want to reach out to them, at least you've created such a big blockage that even if you reach out, even if you like chase them, they're just going to be like, nah, I'm done, and they're just going to ignore you. And I feel like that's the best thing you can do for yourself. Even if it's kind of like your ego might not like it, your pride might not like the fact that you're the one being dumped and something, but I feel like to me that's irrelevant right now. Like I'd rather have my peace and calm than to feel like I still want to chase this person, or that this person is like constantly like blowing up my phone and something, because the narcissist, like if they want to reach out to you, even if you have them blocked everywhere, they will find a way. So the best thing you can do is just like give them reasons not to reach out to you, you know, and give yourself also reasons not to reach out to them. So I hope this was helpful. If you're going through this, you know, leave a comment. If you're still in this relationship and you want to leave and you want to explain your case or something, I'll be more than happy to help, because I know that it's so hard to get out of this relationship. Like, don't blame yourself if you're not able to do what I did, because I feel like I've gone through like narcissistic parents and narcissistic ex a long time ago. So like I've been built against this. I don't want to say I'm a strong person, because I'm not saying you're not a strong person, but it's very, very, very hard to have this. And I do know that I've created like a really safe environment for me outside of my relationship in the past years. And that has really helped me get out of the relationship. And I couldn't have probably done it with my friends and my family's help. So take your time and just try to do as many things for yourself as possible. I hope this video was helpful, and I'll see you guys next week.